We have some questions that have come in, and these will be for all our presenters. So be ready. Whoever is feels they're able to best answer these questions. We had a question about talking about total carbon emissions of EVs versus gas cars. People bring up mining of rare earth minerals and disposing of spent batteries. Other than using renewables to charge, how else do you address this? So I think Patrick touched on that a bit. Is there anything else anyone wants to add to that?
Well, you know, one thing I could say very quickly is that if you look nationally, EVs now on the grid produce less than half the climate changing gases of gasoline cars. Andrea, I think, gave statistics that were specific to New Jersey. So New Jersey has a cleaner electricity generation profile than other states. But if we look nationally, it's very good. Having said that, is it possible that an EV could increase your emissions? Yeah, in a state with a lot of coal-fired electricity, it's possible that a hybrid gasoline vehicle could actually be cleaner than an EV. It's possible if the emissions from electricity generation are very high. Is that likely? No. But the answer there is, therefore, we need to think broadly, systemically, about also cleaning up the way we generate electricity in order to address that challenge. The cleaner our electricity, the cleaner electric cars are.
Great. We had someone asking about where to find information about different EVs, and a suggestion was plugstar.com. I see we have Billy has his hand up, and I just unmuted so that you can ask.
Hello.
All right, hi.
Hi, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
My question was earlier, with the incentives in New Jersey, will they increase for, like, right now New Jersey just offers for leased or new vehicles? So will that change?
I can answer that question. The answer is maybe. The EV law that the governor signed into law in January gave the Board of Public Utilities the authority to adjust the incentive program over time. So the Board of Public Utilities can change the amount of the rebate over time, and they can change some of the parameters, like perhaps they will allow used vehicles to qualify, perhaps they will allow local governments to qualify, perhaps they will allow businesses to qualify over time. So BP will be watching the reaction to the incentive program, and we'll be watching the market, and we'll check in with stakeholders, and we'll make decisions over time about how to adjust the rebate program.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay, we had a number of questions that came in when people registered that that we may not have fully answered yet. I think some of them will also be addressed when we go through our lightning round coming up and hearing from vehicle owners. But I'd like to toss a couple of those out right now. Someone asked if you can use an electric car as a backup during for electricity during an outage. Is that something that would be possible?
Yeah, not only that, I mean, yes, that is possible. Now it's not possible, by the way. Well, technologically it's possible, but you're not going to be doing that now. But we're looking seriously at vehicle to grid connections, where not only that, but you could use them for sort of grid management and grid regulation. You see, the way our grid works now is we're relatively little storage, so you have to generate electricity as the electricity is needed. But what if we could have thousands of cars plugged in at one time? Not all of them need to be 100% charged at any given time. So what you could do is actually use this as a battery backup, and that would actually allow us to sort of incorporate more renewables, more solar, more wind, et cetera, into the grid, and give us better flexibility and better management options by having a sort of large collection of batteries connected to the grid. So there's all kinds of real promise with the idea of electric cars connected to the grid.
Yeah, and if I can jump in here from the perspective of the utility, I mean, that is something that we are certainly exploring in some of our other jurisdictions as well. As I mentioned, In Maryland, we have been approved for a battery storage pilot program that aims to do just that with electric vehicles. And presumably, as we learn sort of lessons learned from that program, those would be the type of things that we hope to sort of bring in applications in Jersey as well. So, I think Patrick has done a great job of laying out. I think, technologically, yes, it is possible, but the sort of environment itself is not right for it right now. But I think that the point of exploring rate incentive options, exploring different programs, and then back to the discussion around sort of customer education around these programs, I think that is definitely sort of easing the glide path for these things to become realities in the future.
Great, and this may be a good question for Nekabari as well. Someone asked about incentives for charging at home during non-peak hours.
Yeah, so I think that's a great question, and as I mentioned before, I didn't give a full kind of a full enumeration of all of our programs that we're offering in Jersey. But again, pending at the New Jersey BPU is a program that talks about managed charging for on and off peak hours. I think customer education around when to charge is just as important just as important as the charging infrastructure itself. And so you'll see that lots of utilities have different ways that they call these programs: time of use programs, off-peak, incentive peak programs, and that's something that we've tried to incorporate in our portfolio of programs for Jersey as well. So, long way of saying, yes, there is a lot of incentive around different rate structures, but then also there's the education piece around how to educate customers on when to charge and how to best take advantage of those rate structures as well.
Great. We had a question, do you believe electric cars are the way of the future, or will hybrids still be needed? Are hybrids more of a short-term goal to help with transitioning?
$1 million question.
Yeah, I'll give a bit of an answer, and James, you might have a thought on the future of internal combustion too, but internal combustion is not going away, at least in not short term. So I'm not going to project what things will look like 50 years from now, but let's say for the next 20 or 30 years, you're going to still have a significant amount of internal combustion vehicles out there. But I think what we can do is sort of put in place electric vehicles where they make sense for commercial on routes where it makes sense, and then use internal combustion where it makes sense as well. And right now, internal combustion is so much cleaner and so much more efficient than it ever has been that it really is, a viable option, even in creating a sustainable transportation infrastructure, at least for the next couple of decades.
Great. So along similar lines, do you see other types of clean energy being used in vehicles like hydrogen or solar-based vehicles?
Yeah, and again, I think James probably would say this too, but hydrogen could make sense in sort of fleet vehicles. I don't think hydrogen makes sense as a national transportation system. The infrastructure that would be put in place for the charging stations, the generation of hydrogen, et cetera, is relatively inefficient. But certainly for a particular company that wants to invest in that fueling capacity for that company, it might make sense to adopt a hydrogen fleet, a fuel cell fleet, or internal combustion powering hydrogen.
Yeah, Amy, I'll just add to what Pat was saying, that the way we see things is that the market will separate into battery electric duty cycles and hydrogen duty cycles. And it's all really very dependent on the fleet, what they're carrying, what the payload is, how far they're going. Battery electric has advantages and hydrogen has advantages. I will tell you this, that the Lightning Systems Class 6 hydrogen truck goes 400 miles and charges up in about 20 minutes. So that is its major advantage. If you think about a comparable battery electric truck, it's going to basically have to be charged overnight. We can, juice up the hydrogen truck in about 20 minutes. But as Pat was also saying, then you get into the issues of the hydrogen delivery, whether you have an on-site compressor, how you're going to compress it, or you're going to compress it with solar or wind. And that is, in fact, the ultimate pathway is to take solar or wind to compress the hydrogen and put it in the truck. So, the battery electric trucks are going to be here. The hydrogen trucks are going to be here. We look at many projects all the time where we just put a solar panel on the roof and put a battery, and everybody wants to complete the green energy loop. And you can do it at your facility, at your terminal. you can put on. I think we calculated that we only needed maybe 2 megawatts on December 31st to power an entire fleet of 15 or 20 yard tractors. So it's not a phenomenal amount of solar. So there's a tremendous number of ways to get to completing the green energy loop very quickly and not waiting 10, 15, and 20 years.
Great. We got to keep things moving. So I'm just going to take, there's one more question here. Why is there not a standardized plug for electric vehicles?
Well, I think the same reason why there's an iPhone plug and an Android plug, and the same reason that there was VHS and Betamax. Companies move at different speeds. They select their technology. In some industries, the players come together and agree on a common standard, and in other industries, the players go their own way and eventually come together for a common standard. So right now, we're at the place where different automakers have chosen different standards for charging, and that's the world that we live in. So one thing I can tell you about the grant program for fast chargers is that we will only fund charging stations that have both charging standards, CCS and CHAdeMO. We are not going to fund Tesla, because Tesla charging stations can only be used by Tesla drivers, and Tesla is providing charging stations for their clients. We're providing charging stations that can use by anybody else. So anybody who pulls up to a fast charging station that we fund will be able to charge regardless of what kind of plug they have on their car.
Yeah, and I think, Andrea, I think you were going exactly where I was going with regard to the interoperability question, which I think represents kind of the basis of the question there. But yeah, to your point, right? Each technology company, I think, sort of lands on the technology that works for them, and for those stakeholders, not only the EV drivers, but then in the case of the utility, we have to sort of manage the potential interoperability issues that exist with using different technologies. From the utility side, I can say that we're trying to solve that problem through different contracting mechanisms. For example, maybe requiring these interoperability agreements between different charging station providers, such that you can not only sort of plug in, but then also have access to the same data across chargers. And then from a customer experience perspective, what that would look like is no matter what sort of EV vehicle you have or what is sort of the nature of the charging station, you can go to one of these publicly available charging stations and charge without having any sort of call it sort of differences, if you will, in your customer experience. So it's certainly a technology choice problem, but I think from the utility perspective anyway, we're trying our best to use contracting and using sort of interoperability requirements to solve that problem, such that we can maintain sort of a unified customer experience across different charging installations across the state.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Amy, also in the heavy duty space, they have moved to a standard charging plug. That's the Charin, I think is the way they say it. Charin. It's a CCS2 combo standard, and so there is going to be a uniform plug in the heavy duty space.
Terrific. All right. So please don't stop asking questions, everyone. Type them in. We will, even if we can't get to them right now, we will answer them, get answers to you. And right now we need to move to our lightning round. And so I'm going to share my screen, and we'll be hearing from a number of different people in quick 1-minute talks. So get ready. So our first guest is Stephen Mazur from the South Jersey Transportation Authority, and he's the chief engineer there. Steve, are you able to speak?
I am, Amy. Thanks for inviting me. This is great, very informative as I'm continuing to learn all about electric vehicles as we go here. So I just had some news at the SJTA. We are continue to focus on bringing electric vehicle charging stations to our Farley Service Plaza at milepost 21.3 on the expressway. I can honestly say that if there was no COVID-19, I truly believe that over the summer we would have had 8 Tesla stations and 4 standard fast charge stations capable of delivering up to 150 kilowatt charging speed. Unfortunately, with COVID, that process slowed down. We're still working with Tesla and another contractor, EVgo, to make all that happen. So we're still running strong. We're still trying to make that happen and try to get that dead zone there in the middle of the Pinelands to have EV charging stations.
Thanks, Steve. I'm sorry, I'm having troubles. Are we okay?
Yeah, I think we see your screen again.
Okay. All right. Thanks for bearing with me.
Yep.
And thanks for that good information. So I popped my own car in here. I have a 2015 Nissan Leaf, and I bought it used. I'm a little frugal, so my Leaf was very inexpensive. There are a lot of used vehicles out there with low mileage. I got my Leaf because I can charge for work for free. I'm really, really fortunate. I live about 25 miles away from my workplace, so I can get back and forth very easily with the Leaf, which has about an 80-mile range. At home, I just plug right into the wall in the garage, so it's super easy. I use a PlugShare as an app to locate chargers when I'm out and about, and I did take my Leaf down to South Carolina. I took it on a road trip and got to experience charging in different locations, and it does vary a lot from place to place, but I think we're seeing how things are improving daily, really all the time. So I haven't noticed any increase in my electric bill, and solar on my roof, so I feel good about that. So I'm really a very happy EV owner and fortunate to be able to charge at my workplace. So next is Tracy. Tracy, are you able to tell us about your bike?
Sure, I'd love to talk about my bike. My husband got interested in e-bikes in about 2014. I really wasn't interested in an e-bike because I like bicycles in general and I don't need help with bicycling. He, however, has bad knees, and so we thought it might be a good idea for him to have an e-bike and I would have a standard regular bicycle, and we could bike together then and he could keep up with me. And so he really thought it would be nice though if I also had an e-bike so we could both go the same distance and have the same capacity. I still was not interested. So he took me up to Westchester and I got on my first pedal assist bicycle and I screamed like a little kid. Riding an e-bike is like driving a sports car with pickup for the first time. And you hit the pedal or, the bicycle and you just fly. It is the most fun. It is adorable. And we bought the bicycle right then and there. He then found Faraday bicycles, which are made in San Francisco. This is a company who makes it look like it's a regular bicycle. People don't know these bicycles are electric. And they're designed in San Francisco to eliminate the hills. And obviously out there, more people ride their bicycles. And so we had one brought in. His is the one on the outside that you can see here. And then I got the sister one, the girl version, once they released that one. And it is a joy to ride. It really is. We can go all over town with it. We can now go over overpasses. We can take them on trips and ride in hills and not be the sweaty, disgusting mess of bicycling anymore. It really is a fun experience having an e-bike. It's easy to charge, and it really is a good conversation piece as well when we go out and people want to talk about it and find out more. And so we really enjoy having e-bicycles. It's been a fun experience and something I had never thought I'd do.
All right. Thanks so much, Tracy. It looks like a lot of fun. Next, we have Patrick McDevitt, and Patrick has a new car. He has a Tesla, and he used to be a Leaf driver, so we're happy to hear from Patrick.
How's it going, everyone? Thanks for having me, Amy. This was a really great program so far. Yes, like Amy, I also was a Nissan Leaf driver for the past 2 years. And just 2 weeks ago, I was lucky enough to be able to upgrade to the Tesla. And I'll have to say, I really did love my Leaf, but boy, there's really no comparison. Um, so being only a Tesla owner for 2 weeks, as the other Patrick was talking about, gearheads and grew up as that was your big thing to get a car. I would similarly describe that's how Tesla owners are. There's a Tesla owners group. There's meetups they have regularly, and it's more like they're super into their Teslas. So I'm still learning all about mine, but I am a member of the South Jersey Electric Vehicle Club. So we've been, having meetups and doing a lot of education and outreach as well. Of course, COVID put a lot of our events on hold, but that was a great learning experience for me to join the club first, and got the advice about different cars to get for your first electric car. And I was advised to look at the Leaf. Afterwards, I will take a little credit of talking Amy into getting her Leaf. But the whole experience so far, excuse me as the truck goes by, my whole experience of having an electric car has been very positive. I do have solar on my house also, so I say that I run my car off of the sun. The incentive for New Jersey, thank you, Andrea, I did apply and get approved for. Now I'm just crossing my fingers and waiting for that check to come in the mail. So when they get it to the dealer level, I think that would really be a seamless way to do it, and really help drive more business. But all in all, I say I'm a big fan of electric cars. Some people, my friends, even my family, were kind of like shaking their heads and rolling their eyes, like you have to stop and charge and this and that. But, it's been minimal, minimal inconvenience. I have, stopped. The plug share has been ideal. Of course, now with Tesla, you don't need the plug share app as much. Everything's mapped out for you right in the car. But I have not been able to go on a good road trip with my Tesla yet. So I'm looking forward to doing that and testing a little bit. But I certainly am an advocate, and I encourage, my community members and family and friends to definitely consider electric when they're looking at a new car.
Great, thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
And really, thanks for mentioning the South Jersey Electric Vehicle group. And they really were very instrumental in providing information and helping out. So really great people supporting and providing information. So next we have Melinda Rosenberger.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. Patrick, welcome to the family. I've had my Tesla Model S for 3.5 years. We most recently lived in just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and Teslas are everywhere in Atlanta. I had 5 dealerships I could pick from in Atlanta. They were that prevalent. So I used to have, when I lived in Georgia, I used to have about a 26-mile commute each way. And initially, I was a little concerned about getting an electric vehicle because of the whole range anxiety thing. But I was actually looking at a Leaf, and I thought, if I can make it to work and make it back home, but what if I have to do an errand at lunchtime? I'm going to be stuck. So I really started looking at the longer range vehicles, which led me to Tesla. And at that time, the 3 wasn't available. So it was between an S and an X. And with a full charge, I get 280 miles. So I obviously have no problem. And the only time, I always charge at home. The only time when I look to charge at a supercharger was when we were traveling. Like when we lived in Georgia, we went to Florida. Since we moved up here, well, I obviously charged like 3 times on the way up from Georgia. But everywhere that we've gone just on day trips since we moved, we obviously don't need to charge. So I think that was the big thing for me to wrap my head around, was the range anxiety. I laugh because my husband still questions when we go to Delaware if I have my car charged enough. And I'm like, yeah, and we'll make it, we'll be fine. But it's kind of a joke between us. I was actually looking for a performance sedan. I wasn't looking for a tree hugger car, as my family calls them. And what's really led me to Tesla was the performance and the battery range. So I'm really happy that I went with the Tesla because of the range. I love the way the GPS in the car actually shows you all the charging stations that you need when you do need to charge. And they're conveniently located next to a restaurant or some type of, quick food choice, bathrooms, shopping. So you've always got something to do when you're charging. It's not like the charging stations are typically out in the middle of nowhere. So that's always been convenient. Thank you for mentioning the South Jersey Electric Vehicle Group, because I didn't know that you existed. I was a member of the Atlanta Tesla group and Tesla Women's group, but I didn't find anything for Tesla that was like South Jersey based, but now I know there's at least an electric vehicle group I can join. So that's great. I personally have had no problems with my Tesla, and I've been very happy with the service, the quality of the car, and I would highly recommend anybody that's looking for something that gives you a little bit more range to look at Tesla's offerings. And obviously, if you get like the Model 3 or the Model Y, it falls into the rebate category of under the $55,000. So that's definitely an incentive that's helpful. I was a little disappointed when we moved up because our electric is dirt cheap in Georgia. It's not so cheap up here, but we just signed up for solar, so we'll be changing that. At least it'll help offset some of the cost. But overall, I've been very happy, and this was a great program. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kevin Eames in his Prius Prime. Kevin, are you with us? Well, Kevin is a retiree from ACUA, and he used to drive a Leaf and has switched over to his plug-in Prius. And this is a great way to have a little bit of, both worlds. You don't have to worry about your range, because when your electric motor, when you use that up, it just seamlessly switches over to the hybrid. So, so I'm sorry we don't have Kevin available to talk. Maybe if we get you later, you can speak up, Kevin. All right. So we'll go on to Sean. I don't know, Sean, are you with us today? All right, Sean has Kevin is having technical difficulties. Sorry about that. And we're going to pass over Sean, although I would have loved to hear about his Audi e-tron, but I don't see him in the list here. So Steve is from Green Life Energy Solutions. They're right across the way from us. And I got a message from Steve that he was unable to join us tonight, but he really wanted to. I have, so I'm sorry that I can share some information from him in a little bit. So we're going to move on to James from Napa Value Auto Parts. James, are you there?
I am. Hi, Amy. Thank you.
Great.
And I'm really happy to be a participant for a second year in this event. And certainly I've been able to get a lot of information from our professional speakers. So I'd also like to thank all of the members that have already shared. Napa Value Auto Parts, we own 3 Napa Auto Parts stores, Egg Harbor City, Hamilton, and Berlin, New Jersey. And we put our first hybrid vehicle into service in 2005, actually, with a 2005 Ford Escape Hybrid. And I think for us, fuel economy is critical because we do a lot of local deliveries. And so it's always been a financial decision, but it's one of the socially responsible opportunities to find the best economy, reduce our cost, and also be responsible for the environment. And it's also early adopters and interested in new technology as it pertains to the automotive industry. We currently run 10 hybrids out of our 40 vehicle fleet. So we're really straddling the fence when it comes to hybrid technology with the internal combustion engine as our backup, and ultimately the primary driver of the vehicle, and the benefits of the electric vehicle with regenerative brakes and the engine turning off at traffic lights. We do have 2 plug-in hybrids as well that we're testing with management vehicles. So we have a 2017 Ford Fusion plug-in and a 2019 Prius Prime. So we are certainly interested in full EV, and some of the benefits that are happening legislatively are certainly going to increase the opportunity for us. And quite honestly, it seems like a great spot to have a charger at our Napa Auto Parts stores. So certainly we'll be looking forward to policy and opportunities with the electric provider to continue to advance ourselves in the continuing EV evolution, if you will.
Great, thank you.
My pleasure.
All right, next is, do we have Dennis from Chapman Auto Group in the audience?
We do indeed, Amy.
Oh, great. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
So good. Thank you for having me out today. We really appreciate the opportunity. Over at Ford, there's a lot of cool things that are happening here, so we're pretty super excited. For one, we led our most cherished icon, the Mustang, to electrification. Everybody thought we were nuts, but we're not nuts. It's actually a pretty cool car. It's going to be called the Mach-E. So we should be seeing that late here in 2020. There's going to be 4 different models that are available for it. One is going to be the Select, which will be your entry level. Then you'll have the Premium, which is the next level up. And then, of course, you'll have the California Route 1. And, of course, no Mustang will be complete without a GT. You know, that'll be our performance model. So we're pretty excited about that right now. There's a few things I can tell you about Ford. We're really excited because we just invested $3 billion into electrification, excuse me. So one of the cool things about that is it's not just the Mustang Mach-E. We also have an F-150 coming out that's a hybrid. So we're going to be having that coming out soon, which is awesome. We also have down the road, further down the road, we will have an all-electric Mustang Coupe, which will probably be roughly around 1,000 horsepower. So for those purists out there that think that electric cars are not performance cars, I'm here to tell you that's wrong. It'll go 0 to 60, the Mach-E, in 3.5 seconds. It also has auto drive feature. It won't be available right away. It will be a download, a software over the air download on our new Sync 4 operating system, which is also going to introduce OK Ford. OK Ford's going to be our virtual assistant in the car, kind of like Siri or Google is for, you know, your mobile phones. It'll also allow you to, you know, interject along the way, like on your route to commute. You might say, find me OK Ford, find me a coffee shop. And it'll actually recommend coffee shops for you based on Yelp and Google reviews, so you know what kind of coffee shop you're going to. So that's just a couple of the neat things that are getting ready to happen around Ford. I'm telling you, it's an exciting time to be at Ford. We really appreciate you guys giving us this platform to introduce the Mach-E and the F-150 and a lot of the neat things that we have coming out. I'll be happy to answer anybody's questions, you know, if they have any. But I just really want to thank the ACUA. Thank you, Amy. It's been an amazing platform. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Great. So next, here's another kind of electric vehicle. Do we have Scott from South Jersey Electric Vehicles? Okay. Well, we're going to keep going, but this is another, you know, another venue. This is another type of vehicle, low speed neighborhood vehicles, can be street ready and provide transportation in the right setting. Okay. Oh, I see we have Kevin back. So let me get to that slide. And Kevin, why don't you tell us about your experience?
There I go. Am I finally on, Amy?
You are.
Thank you. Sorry about that little Wi-Fi dilemma. Like Amy, I also had the Leaf. Mine was the 2017, and I got all the rebate. the Atlantic City Electric offered a $10,000 one back when I got it, and then with the federal $7,500 rebate, I actually took $17,500 off the top of the car. So after 3 years of owning it, I added everything together, and the vehicle actually only cost me about $1,500 because of the savings in sales tax, oil, didn't have no service, no anything. So I turned that around because like Amy, I was only able to get about 80 to 100 miles driving ability on the thing. So I wound up getting the Prius plug-in, which is able to give me about 600 miles. And I actually got a check in the mail from New Jersey for the $25 per mile, because that thing will drive 25 miles on all electric. So I got that back, and I'm still going to get about a $4,800 rebate from the federal government. And I can't wait for the New Jersey to get around and start to help us come up and pay for our chargers in the house, which we'll come over there and hook one up at Amy's garage. So she has a way to go. But back to the Amy's, I am so jealous of that bicycles. I'm already starting to look for them, because I think the next thing we're going to get electric is that. And to end it, I actually have about 40 solar panels. And for those deciding to go electric, remember, Atlantic City Electric is your last person or company that's allowed to do it. So if you're not showing that you could use all the electric usage and you buy an electric vehicle, make sure you stand firm, because that electric vehicle is going to use up a lot of what you're going to generate through that solar. And you've really, I needed 17 more panels. They only let me do 11. So I wasn't really able to charge up my Leaf fully. So this is one reason I just went over to something that was gasoline plus with the 600 miles. But thank you for letting me tell you about my little experience.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Terrific. So we're getting towards the end here. Whoops, sorry, not quite there. Rick is going to tell us a little bit about ACUA's fleet.
Well, thank you, Amy. Following up on Amy and Kevin, who are both ACUA employees. Well, Kevin's now retired because he's saving so much money, he can live on his pension and at an earlier date. But I think that's a really important thing. So we've had a goal here for really almost 20 years to emphasize that whenever we can buy or purchase a electric vehicle or an alternative fuel vehicle in replacing vehicles in our fleet, which happen all the time, vehicles, we have a policy, a formal policy adopted by our board of directors that says that we will, every time we replace a vehicle, that we will seek out an alternative fuel vehicle. So we have we have a range of vehicles, 20 different ones, plug-in, all electric, any number of them. They're all listed up there, and even the GEM vehicles. We also had a Ford Ranger, which was, we had for about 10 years. That was 2000, was it? I don't remember the year it was made. And then they were taken off the market, but we found one in the off market. And the lesson is that our function and our mission here is environmental protection. If we can reduce the impact that we make in our vehicles that are necessary to do our job, then we should do that. And we should lead the way. We should share our positive experiences, our negative experiences, and try to achieve and share our information with the communities that we serve, and through forums like this and every day. I think the biggest impact has been on our employees, who at first were doubtful and somewhat chagrined at why aren't we buying diesel, why aren't we buying gasoline. These are fleet vehicles that really don't have to go many miles in the course of the day. and they're perfect for being charged at our facilities. So we've installed the charging stations locations at both our wastewater plant in Atlantic City and here. And in both places, the electricity is being supplied by a renewable or alternative fuel electricity. So at the wastewater plant, it's solar and wind. And when you charge here, it's landfill gas to electricity. So that's an important message to make, that this is what has to happen. Patrick and James and a number of the speakers spoke about is we really need to green our grid. Well, we've done that in our mini grids that we have here at the ACUA at our 2 campuses. And we're encouraging, our third location is in Vineland at the Cumberland County Complex. We're going to encourage our sister agency over there, the Cumberland County Improvement Authority, to begin to install electric charging stations. So when we're driving over there in one of our electric vehicles or plug-in vehicles, hybrid vehicles, that we can use electricity also from. And we see this spreading slowly but surely. We're convincing people that both our employees and our communities and the people that we serve, that this is a viable way to provide transportation. And as was outlined by a number of the speakers this evening, it really is the wave of the future. It's much more efficient, it's cleaner, it's better for our environment, and it's going to be a better experience going forward.
Great. Thanks so much, Rick. This is the last slide of our lightning round. We have the website where we will be posting information, resources, answering questions that were unanswered. We also have 2 of our Facebook sites, our main Facebook page, and we have Atlantic County Green Innovation as a group, public group, so to share information. So I encourage everybody to go there. I'm going to stop sharing. Before people leave, I want to make sure you know that you can stick around. I know we have several other EV owners of different types of vehicles. If anyone would like to raise their hand and ask a question or share information if you were not able to be part of the lightning round. I see there are some Bolt owners in the audience, and I'm sure there's some other folks out there who may want to speak up and share too. And Alexis is going to help me to monitor the questions and get people on board. And we did have we mentioned the South Jersey Electric Vehicle Club, and we have Stanislav on the webinar too, and he's from Central Jersey Electric Automobile Association, and they put out a lot of great resources too. So we'll be sure to include that information on our website. There was a webinar recently, just I think yesterday, on how to charge at home, among other things. So lots of great information from many different sources.
I see a hand raised. Omar, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Omar Martin. I'm an EV owner, and I've been coming to the electric drive events at the ACUA for several years now. Thank you for still having an event, even during these times, even if we have to do it virtually. I think you guys are getting a lot of great information out there. I just thank you guys for having this. This is awesome, getting the word out. If Patrick is still on, congratulations on your new Model 3. That's awesome. I've been driving an electric vehicle for about 6.5 years now. I started off with the Nissan Leaf. And, like many others, the range was a little bit of a factor for me. So after about a year, I bumped up to a Tesla Model S, and I've been driving that now for, like I said, the last 5 years, 5.5 years, and I put well over 100,000 miles on the vehicle. I've driven it everywhere. I've gone on all types of road trips, driven it down from Atlantic City, New Jersey to Key West, Florida, up to Canada, to Chicago, Mississippi, just everywhere. Been all over the place in this thing, and never once had a problem as far as where to charge or how to charge or anything like that. So any myths out there that electric vehicles are not viable as to be your only car or to be put on the road, you can just put that to rest. It's definitely not true. And it does force you to take some safety breaks, is what I call it, which is interesting because after my first road trip, I realized that driving from Jersey to Florida, I was not as fatigued after driving a Tesla as I previously was when I did it in a gas car, because it just forced me to take some more breaks, which is great. It's actually safer that way. So,
Great, and Omar was helpful for me buying my Leaf too, so thank you, Omar.
you're very welcome.
All right. So is there anybody else in the audience who has some vehicle experience to share, speaking with people?
Okay, Micah, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Micah. I don't really need to talk a lot, but I just wanted to put myself out there. If anyone is interested in a Chevy Bolt, that is the car that I drive. Full disclosure, I've only had it for about a month, but I've been really pleased with it. And I would be happy to answer any questions or just offer any of my experiences or inspiration if anyone needs it. So just to put that out there.
Great.
But what is the range on the 2020 Bolt?
Sure. So I bought a 2019 one, but the range is very similar. So for 2020, they can get up to 259, which was the industry, I guess the highest in the industry after. It was 1 mile further than, I want to say, the Hyundai Kona. So they got 1 mile more, and now they said we're the best, but it's 259 miles on a 2020 Bolt.
Great, thanks, Micah.
Sure.
Okay, Ben, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I just wanted to share my experience and logic on why I ended up getting a Tesla Model 3 last year, just before the incentives started for the state. I was at the point of evaluating getting another all-wheel drive car because I drive about 500 miles a week through the state doing IT support. And when I actually ran the net monthly numbers, the value of and cost of getting a Model 3 all-wheel drive long range versus a Subaru Outback actually worked out to the same a month. So the net monthly for being able to drive 550 miles, like 20-some thousand miles a year, was about the same.
Fantastic.
And both with the car and the incentives are cheaper now.
Alexis, do you see any questions that we missed?
Let's see.
You know, there are so many different Drive Electric events happening this week, and you can find out about them and tune in, or maybe even visit one that's in person. There was one this past weekend at Mount Holly Motorsports. DriveElectricWeek.org is the place to go to find that information.
Yeah. Anybody else is welcome to share. There should be the button at the bottom to raise your hand, and we can call on you and unmute you.
There is a question that was put out here. New Jersey rebate program allowing 5,000 rebate on electric vehicle with the MSRP less than $55,000. What if the vehicle base is around 49,000, but you want to add a feature that takes it over that, I guess? How does that work for the rebate? So specifically a Tesla Model Y at 49,000 plus automation at 8,000.
I can sort of answer that. I don't know the answer off the top of my head, but if you go to the Charge Up New Jersey website, you can look at the details of how the rebate program works. They have an FAQs, and that's the kind of question that they answer on their website. If they don't answer it on the website, they provide an email address where you can send your questions and get an answer.
Great. All right, if anyone has a question that we've missed, please raise your hands. We'll be combing through our submitted questions to make sure that we've gotten everything, and so don't hesitate to contact us with any additional questions that we can share with our presenters. We're so grateful for everyone being here tonight, both our presenters and everyone attending and sharing their thoughts, their questions. And this is a really exciting time to be talking about electric vehicles and the future of transportation. There's just so much happening, so much ahead. And I do hope that next year we'll be able to have another in-person event, because that's always so much fun to be able to actually, look under the hood and, sit in a car and maybe take you for a drive. But I hope that this was a suitable, substitute. I think we had so much great information, and really appreciate everybody being here.
Thank you, Amy and Alexis and Minio here at the ACUA for organizing this. They did a wonderful job. The speakers and participants, thank you for joining us again this year. If you've been with us before, and if you were new, we appreciate you being here, and then all of the other participants. It's a real honor to have everybody here.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Really
Great night.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Hope you have a good evening.
All right. Thanks.